So in this part of the course, I want to talk about automation or pipelines and how they add value in our agile project management or overall project management. Let's find out. So what are pipelines? You might hear the word pipelines when you're working with a digital transformation program or any agile project which are deploying to the cloud. So a pipeline term is used in cloud computing that consists of a set of automated processes that allow the agile team or the scrum team, which consists of developers, QAs, operations, etc., to efficiently compile, build, and deploy that code to their various environments. Could be dev, could be QA, could be UAT, could be production. So basically it's a set of tools and processes that are hooked together that will just, once you drop the code, it will deploy automatically to the destination environment. So here's one example to show you. So in a cloud, in this case I'm using AWS, I have the necessary environment, the dev, QA, UAT, and production. So the first thing we need to do is to build these environments in the cloud. And to do that, as I mentioned, for Microsoft, it was the ARM, Azure Resource Manager. But in generally for other cloud providers, you can use a script, Terraform scripting, which is another tool that allows you to code the kind of server specification that you want to have in the cloud, i.e. the number of instances, the CPUs, all the specification. You can use Terraform scripting to code and execute that code, and automatically it will create the necessary environments for you in the cloud. So once you have that environment in the cloud, so let's take an example for a dev environment. That's the first thing you're going to do. And once you get this right for the dev environment, you can replicate the same thing for other environments. So it's best to spend some time on the first environment, making sure that is the way it should work. And once you got that, then it can be replicated across the other environments. So what happens in a pipeline? You need to put some of the tools that are kind of connected or interconnected that will take the code that the developer has just finished coding, and the first thing they need to do is to drop that code into a Bitbucket or GitHub. These are different repositories available in the cloud where you drop the code. And what you want to do is have some kind of a process, for example, Jenkins, always watching to see, hey, has any code been dropped? And the first thing it needs to do is to pick that up and see if it do some unit testing. Does it break? Does it do what it's supposed to do? And if it's okay, and then what it does is it tries to go through some kind of compilation. And as part of this continuous integration, what it's trying to do is to make sure that the code that has been dropped has been unit tested, is working. Then it's compiled against the main branch to make sure nothing has broken that was there before. If it hasn't, that's great. Then it has things called SonarQube, which is another tool that says, hey, if the threshold of say 80%, that means the code has to pass 80% of the configuration. So that means it has to be efficient. It has to comply to the development standards. So if it doesn't, it fails it. So the developer has to go back and look at the code, optimize it, make some changes until the SonarQube says 80% is passed. Only then does it go through to another tool called Fortify, which is another kind of tool that makes sure that there are no vulnerabilities in the code, etc. And then if all that passes, each one of them having their own thresholds, once that is passed, does it go into deploy to the development. So you can see by having this set up first time and make sure there are no kinks, there are no problems with it, once it's working, you have the automated pipeline set up. A code is dropped, it will highlight as a threshold has not been met or it has been met. If it has, it moves on to next level, and if that is still okay, it will continue doing that. So if it's all working, it will deploy to the environment. Otherwise, it will stop there. So these are the first things that a pipeline kind of provides, is that the automation is there. Only thing is you spend more time in the beginning to make sure that it is working. So that's where the time is spent. But once that's done, it's actually really, really useful to going forward. So like I said, once you've done that for one environment, you can just simply replicate the environments like that using Terraform scripting. And then you need to make sure that the pipelines which are already built for development are continuously kind of replicated or built for the various environments. And each environment can have its own threshold, which is different from the first one, because as you go through the production, UAT and production, you want to make sure that nothing is compromised. You want to make sure everything's working according to what you would have done manually. But the only difference here is that everything's hooked together, everything has been set, a threshold has been set, and if it doesn't meet that threshold, it doesn't let you go through that. So that's the beauty of having pipelines. That's the beauty of having thresholds, that you know that the code that you have built, that you have coded, is actually to the standard that is expected. So to conclude, pipelines, automation, hey, why do we need that? So pipelines are very useful. They allow automation, which in turn speeds up the process. You don't need to say to the QA, hey, it's ready for you to test. It's already there. It's already in the environment. So all you need to tell them that I've done a new code deployment. It should be in your QA environment. So everything is kind of optimized. Everything is efficient. There are no delays. Each cloud environment can be built using tools like Terraform, ARM, Azure Resource Manager. That means you don't need to physically build servers. It's a simple script execution, and you can duplicate as many environments as you like. As soon as you do that, you just have to make sure that the new pipeline to that environment is also working. But once the pipelines are up and running, environments are ready, then it's a very efficient process that the team will find, which is very useful in agile environment, because a sprint is only 2 weeks. So you want to make sure that everything is optimized and quickly deployed and tested.